All right, welcome back to C Files, folks. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here. This is where you come to ease your anxiety. There's nothing to make you angry here, nothing to heighten your anxiety, just some time in the scriptures and some time of commentary. I'm sharing my personal devotion with all of you. And we're going to be in Genesis chapter 13. Now, Genesis, once again, is the first book of the Bible. It's a historical book. There are different genres of books in the Bible: historical, poetical, prophetical, um, doctrinal, things of that nature, apocalyptic books, and so forth. This is a historical book. In chapter 13, we're talking about Abram. God calls Abram in chapter 12 and gives him the Abrahamic covenant in chapter 12. The covenant is, I will make you a great nation, and basically, I'll give you this land, and I'll make you a great nation, and through you would out of you would come a great nation. And he would also be the father of many nations. So chapter 13's next. Abram inherits Canaan. So let's get right into it. I'm holding it this way. Normally I have it up on the stand, but as you can see, this is the thin portion. And it wants to flop over like this every time I put it up on the stand to try to read it. Then Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot, which was his nephew, went with him to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, so God had blessed him greatly in livestock. Remember, he walked away out of Egypt with a whole lot of gifts from the Pharaoh for livestock. Um, and it says that Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold, and he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for so great their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. So there, there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. And they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram after Lot had separated from him, "Lift up your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward, for all the land which you see I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. Then Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. So even the area where Lot went toward the east, God says, I'm going to give you that too. Lot might have chosen that, but Abram, it's yours. I'm going to give it to you. Um, because Lot's going to run into a problem because he went in the direction where all the wickedness was. And so sometimes the wilderness is a place to be. Um, Sometimes it's not. But we're going to see what happens with Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah in chapter 14. But 12, Genesis 12 and 13 really lays down and lays out the Abrahamic covenant, the covenant that God gave to Abraham, that he would make Abraham a great nation and give Abraham the land, and that he would make Abraham a father of many nations. And that's coming up as well. All right. We are in Proverbs next, and this is going to be Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs is a book of wisdom. It's a wisdom book, whereas Genesis was historical, Proverbs is sayings of wisdom. And chapter 3 is guidance for the young. And let me, now I can set it up on the stand because I got more pages where it's not going to flip over on me while I'm reading it. It makes it easier for me to do that. So let me move this over. I don't edit here. We're just having a conversation here on YouTube. How's that? I don't try to be all fancy and professional. When I was growing up, I remember when um, my parents, people who were my parents' age, would sit and talk for hours. No television on. They didn't have cell phones or social media. They would just sit and have conversations over coffee or whatever for hours. And when they had hours to sit and talk. And there's a wonderful thing to that. That's kind of the culture I grew up in, and so that's kind of why I am here. I've been told I'm long-winded. I ramble a lot. No, that just comes from my culture and my years when I was coming up as a young person, and back in the 70s, that's the way it was. 60s, 70s, early 80s. We just talk. And so that's all I'm doing. I'm talking. We're having a conversation. Anyway, Proverbs 3 says, My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life, and peace they will add to you. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. And so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. That is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. A lot of Christians quote those two verses. And it really, these are kind of anti-society verses, if you will, because society does lean on its own understanding. Most people do lean on their own understanding, and their own understanding is based upon their upbringing, their schooling, their education, their culture, um, their worldview, their ideology. All of that lends itself to their own understanding. And even Christians take a long time to learn how to trust in the Lord with all their heart and not lean on their own understanding because we are filled with our own understanding, filled with uh, the product of our education, the product of our culture, and so forth. So sometimes it takes a lifetime to learn this, how to trust in the Lord and not in ourselves. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. If we acknowledge him in all our ways, well, that's everything. That's everything. That's our education, our career, our family, our ideology, our worldview, the way we think, the way we treat our neighbors, the way we act, everything. We have to acknowledge him. Um, there's no separation for the Christian between church and state, church and society, church and neighbor, church and home. Um, Christ owns it all for the Christian. Verse 7. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Yeah, it's lending itself to 5 and 6 in that if you're leaning on your own understanding, you're being wise in your own eyes, right? Wise based upon your education, wise based upon your ideology, and so forth. Even wise based upon your own life experience. But where does real wisdom come from? It comes from God Almighty. So do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Well, we have to identify evil, don't we? If we can't depart from something that we haven't identified as to what it is, um, so evil has to be identified, just exactly what evil is and what defines evil and what actions are evil, what thought processes are evil. They have to be identified to depart from them. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. When your mind gets right and your heart gets right, it's good for the health. It really is. It's very beneficial. Honor the Lord with your possessions, because God owns it all anyway, and with the first fruits of all your increase. That's the harvest. The first fruits of the harvest go to the Lord. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. God is the Lord of the harvest, so God would increase the harvest according to his will. And if you're honoring him, giving him the glory and giving your first fruits, God will increase your harvest. Now this was an agricultural society, so that was an important thing to them. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor detest his correction. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, just as a father the son in whom he delights. If you love your kids, you're going to correct them, aren't you? Well, the God loves us. He's going to correct us. If he doesn't correct us, then that means we don't belong to him. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gains understanding, for her proceeds, her being wisdom. For her proceeds are better than the profits of silver, and her gain than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you may desire cannot compare to her. Length of days is in her right hand, in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and happy are all who retain her. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens. So, what's the source of the universe? God. What's the source of abiogenesis? God. By his knowledge, the depths were broken up, and clouds drop down the dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. You ever had a good night's sleep because nothing was really bothering you? Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good, excuse me, do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come back, and tomorrow I will give it when you have it with you. Do not devise evil against your neighbor, for he dwells by you for safety's sake. Do not strive with a man without cause if he has done you no harm. Don't just randomly attack people. Do not envy the oppressor and choose none of his ways. For the perverse person is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret counsel is with the upright. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the just. Surely he scorns the scornful. Ooh, excuse me. Surely he scorns the scornful, but gives grace to the humble. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the legacy of fools. And let me go back up here where it talks about do not envy the oppressor and choose none of his ways. And then it says, the curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked. He blesses the home of the just. Critical race theory does not determine, and intersectionality does not determine oppressor and oppressed. That's a that's a construct that leans on our own understanding, not on the truth of God. Um, God determines the oppressor. God determines the oppressed. God determines the righteous and the unrighteous. He determines the just and the unjust. That belongs in the realm of God Almighty, not in the realm of social engineers who construct a particular version of justice, an oppressed and oppressor that pushes a particular man-made narrative, man-made philosophy and ideology. All right. We're going to Ecclesiastes. That's another wisdom book. This one's written by Solomon as king of Israel, and he's giving wisdom to his son. And through this book, he's basically telling the son, "Look, I've been there and done that, and here's the problem with it." And so he's looking at life from a king's viewpoint and life from a human viewpoint, not a divine viewpoint. And the problems and troubles that come from living life the wrong way. All right, we'll go to chapter 9. He says, "For I considered all this in my heart," all that was in chapter 8. And if you want chapter 8, you got to go to the previous video on that has a chapter 8 in it. That's why you just want to keep up. You just want to go through these videos one at a time. You can watch them while you're driving down the road. Listen to them while you're driving down the road. If I considered all this in my heart so that I could declare it all, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God, people know neither love nor hatred by anything they see before them. All things come alike to all. One event happens to the righteous and the wicked, to the good, the clean, and the unclean, to him who sacrifices and him who does not sacrifice. As is the good, so is the sinner. He who takes an oath, as he who fears an oath. In other words, God's temporal grace and mercy falls on the good and the evil. Temporal meaning grace and mercy and a restraint of judgment that he gives to us while we're here on this earth. This is an evil in all that is done under the sun, that one thing happens to all. Now, looking at it from a human perspective, Lord, where is the judgment against evil? Well, he has grace and mercy too. He doesn't always judge evil on us, because if he placed that on Christ on the cross and he judged it on Christ on the cross, then it wouldn't fall on us who believe in Christ. But eventually evil is judged. Okay, so this next part is for those who believe that people are born basically good. Truly, the hearts of the sons of men are full of evil. Madness is in their hearts while they live, and after that they go to the dead. But for him who is joined to all the living, there is hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. We are not born basically good. And this statement is true out of Ecclesiastes that um, the hearts and of the sons of men are full of evil. It's true. Verse 5. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They're dead. And they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. So this is in comparison to being on earth, right? The dead are gone. It's the living that we have to deal with. Also, their love, their hatred, and their envy have now perished. Nevermore will they have a share in anything done under the sun. Once you depart this earth, that's it. You're gone. You don't have any part of it, any part of the earth at all. Go, eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works. Let your garments always be white, and let your head lack no oil. Live joyfully with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life. Who speaks that way today? And this Solomon was just laying, he's just, okay, I'm just going to lay it all out on the table. This is what Solomon is doing. I'll read it again. Live joyfully with the wife whom you love. That sounds so good, right? Oh, that's just awesome. All the days of your vain life. Yeah, enjoy your wife all the days of your vain life. He just lays it out on the table. Uh, Live joyfully with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life, which he has given you under the sun, all your days of vanity. Okay, yeah, that makes me feel really good about living out my days with my wife. For that is your portion in life, and in the labor which you perform under the sun. It's just all vanity. Just go ahead, enjoy your time with your wife, your family, all that, just all vain. And this is the concept of life without God. You might have some enjoyment in life for a temporal time, but when it's all over, it's just all vain because that's it. If you're not one who worships God, your your enjoyment is gone. It's done. You're done. You're done. You're now under judgment. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. For there is no work or device or knowledge or wisdom in the grave where you are going. Better enjoy it while you have it because someday you're going to depart this earth. That's what he's saying. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, the rabbit and was it the turtle and the hare? Yeah, who won the race? Yeah. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. For man also does not know his time, like fish taken in a cruel net, like birds caught in a snare. So the sons of men are snared in an evil time when it falls suddenly upon them. I don't watch football anymore, but when I did, and I personally knew a few professional football players back in the day, they would tell me that any team could beat any other team on any given Sunday. And this is kind of what Solomon is saying. The race doesn't always go to the swift, the battle doesn't always go to the strong. Any could beat the other at any time, right? So, verse 13. This wisdom I have also seen under the sun, and it seemed great to me. There was a little city with few men in it, and a great king came against it, besieged it, and built great snares around it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that same poor man. So the poor man delivered the city, but did he get credit for anything? Nope. Nobody even remembered him. Then I said, wisdom is better than strength. Because by wisdom, the old man wasn't strong. He didn't go out and say, "Oh, I'm a big, strong dude, and I'm going to wipe all of you out if you don't leave us alone." No, he went out and used his mind. He used wisdom to negotiate and get what he needed. So it wasn't strength that won safety for the city. It was wisdom. Then I said, wisdom is better than strength, and nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised. Because he was poor, nobody gave him the time of day. And his words are not heard. Words of the wise spoken quietly should be heard rather than the shout of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Some people will not watch these videos because I am a white male, and that's the only reason, especially a gray-haired old white male. That right there is enough for some people to say, I don't even want to look at this guy. I don't want to listen to this guy. He's an old white male. Period. That's the only reason. And it's kind of like this. Well, that guy was poor. He was just a poor guy. He wasn't anybody of any significance. He saved the city with his wisdom. But no, yeah, but he's just an old poor guy. And no, he had no strength, nothing. He just poor. Who, we're not going to recognize him. And that's the way it works sometimes. That's the way the mind, a sinful mind, sometimes works. We're going to leave it there. Discrimination by category, right? We're going to leave it there. We'll be in Ezekiel in the next reading, and I'll come right back with that. As soon as this video loads up, we're coming back with another one. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and help me out with this channel. Please pray for this channel and that God will bless it and use it to his glory. I'll see you next time here on the C Files.